It's October 1944, somewhere over the Philippine Sea. A Japanese G-4M Betty bomber is running hard at 22,000 feet, engines screaming, trying to disappear into a moonless sky. It can't be heard, it can barely be seen, and the two Japanese gunners aboard are staring into a darkness so complete they might as well be blind. Then, in less than 4 seconds, a wall of tracers tears through the night from a direction they never expected. Not from behind, not from below, but from directly beneath them, from a gun turret that wasn't supposed to be able to fire in that direction at all. The Betty doesn't make it home. The crew of the P-61 Black Widow does. Here's the paradox. The Black Widow was the biggest, heaviest dedicated night fighter America had ever put in the air. It weighed over 30,000 pounds fully loaded. It was as long as 39 feet and had a wingspan of 66 feet. Aviation experts in 1943 looked at those numbers and saw a liability. Night fighting was supposed to be about stealth, agility, and raw speed, and on paper, the Black Widow had none of that edge over the sleek, fast British Mosquito or even the modified P-38. Critics asked a reasonable question. Why were American crews being sent up in what amounted to a flying locomotive? What those critics missed, Auro's tower, what the enemy never fully understood until it was too late, was that Northrop hadn't built a night fighter by making a fast plane fly in the dark. They'd built something entirely different, something that turned the apparent disadvantages of size, weight, and complexity into the most lethal ambush platform of the Pacific Theater. And the trick that unlocked all of it could be executed by a trained crew in under 4 minutes. Standard military thinking in the early 1940s emphasized speed above everything else in night interception. The RAF's doctrine R, battle-tested in the Blitz, or centered on the Bristol Beaufighter and later the de Havilland Mosquito. Aircraft that could run down a bomber in level flight and destroy it with a frontal or rear gun pass. German Luftwaffe night fighter commanders agreed. The Wild-Sau and Zame-Sau tactics relied on fast single-engine interceptors that could exploit radar contacts with short, decisive firing passes. On paper, this shouldn't have worked with something as large as the Black Widow. The Heinkel E-219, Uhu Aro, Germany's premier night fighter, weighed in at 23,000 pounds fully loaded and was already considered dangerously heavy for the role. The P-61 blew past that figure by nearly 8,000 pounds. Critics argued that the radar detection-to-kill sequence required speed. You had 1 pass, maybe 2, before a maneuvering bomber broke contact. Every extra pound of aircraft was another reason your pass was too slow, your angle too predictable, your geometry too forgiving. The British had refined their entire night fighting doctrine around exactly that reality. They were right about everything, except what the Black Widow was actually designed to do. The secret was in the turret. Northrop's engineers fitted the P-61 with a General Electric top-mounted turret carrying 4 50-caliber M2 Browning machine guns, each capable of firing 800 rounds per minute. That's 3,200 rounds per minute total fires, a volume of fire that the RAF's Mosquito, with its 4 20mm cannons, simply couldn't match for sustained saturation of a target. But the turret wasn't significant because of its firepower alone. It was significant because of what it could do geometrically. The turret had a full 360-degree traverse and could elevate to 90 degrees straight up. In theory, it could also depress forward, giving the aircraft a firing solution on targets ahead of and below the aircraft, an angle that no conventional pursuit fighter could achieve without pitching its nose into a dangerous dive. The original design intent was for the turret to cover all quadrants and free the Black Widow from the single pass constraint that dominated British tactics. What actually mattered was one specific trick that crews discovered in training at Hammerfield, California, in late 1943. If the turret was rotated 180 degrees and depressed forward, the guns pointed almost directly underneath the aircraft's nose, down and ahead. The P-61 could then fly beneath a target at a crossing angle, use its SCR-720 airborne intercept radar to solve the geometry from directly below without ever appearing on the target's horizon, and open fire into the belly of a bomber from a position where almost no defensive gun could cover. The SCR-720 radar gave the crew a detection range of roughly 5 miles and a tracking lock at just over 2,000 feet. At that closure distance, with a target traveling at 240 miles per hour and the P-61 matching speed underneath, the firing window lasted approximately 12 seconds. 12 seconds of 3,200 rounds per minute is 640 rounds. Against an unarmored belly, that was terminal. The crew called it belly shooting. Northrop called it the under fuselage firing position. The crews who survived long enough to use it called it the trick that made everything else make sense. On the night of June 30th, 1944, the 6th Night Fighter Squadron flying out of Sidor, New Guinea, recorded the P-61's first confirmed aerial kill. Captain Florian Doring and his crew stalked a Japanese aircraft through broken clouds using radar, maneuvered into position below and ahead of the target, and destroyed it in a single firing pass that the Japanese crew never saw coming. The kill was logged. The method was noted. By August 1944, squadrons in both the Pacific and Mediterranean theaters were reporting kill-to-sortie ratios that exceeded those of any Allied fighter operating in a night role. The 548th Night Fighter Squadron in the Central Pacific destroyed 6 Japanese aircraft in a single month of operations. A figure that the Mosquito units in the same theater couldn't match despite operating with more aircraft. Captured Japanese aviators told their interrogators the same thing with remarkable consistency. They reported that the Black Widow seemed to appear from directly below, that it gave no angle for defensive fire, and that the attack was over before the crew had time to maneuver. One Japanese after-action report recovered in late 1944 described the P-61 as attacking from the belly side with no warning from the direction of the radar. Their defensive turrets covered the rear arc and the beam positions. They had been trained to defend against fighters that attacked from those angles. Nobody had prepared them for something that came from straight underneath. This wasn't luck. It wasn't improvised. Commanders weren't clinging to tradition or so. They had trained for this exact geometry. The under-fuselage position was drilled at Hammerfield until crews could execute it in high workload conditions, in cloud, in turbulence, with a maneuvering target. The 4-minute setup from cruise configuration to firing position was a choreographed procedure, not a reaction. The P-61's size enabled everything that made the belly shooting tactic work. A lighter, faster aircraft couldn't carry the SCR-720 radar system, which weighed over 300 pounds with its antenna and processing equipment. It couldn't carry the gun turret, which added another 1,200 pounds. It couldn't carry the radar operator, whose job was to manage the intercept geometry while the pilot flew the approach. Smaller aircraft like the P-38J, which some commanders in 1943 had pushed as an alternative night fighter, could carry a radar set, but not the operator, not the turret, and not the fuel load that gave the Black Widow a combat radius of over 400 miles. The P-61's twin-boom design, which looked ungainly on the tarmac, and drew ridicule from pilots used to conventional fighters, was specifically chosen to give the radar operator and gunner unobstructed cockpit positions with clear fields of view and instrument lighting that wouldn't compromise the pilot's night vision. Battlefields aren't flight lines. What looks odd in daylight can be exactly right in darkness. The aircraft's 4 2,000 horsepower Pratt & Whitney R2865 double Wasp engines gave it a top speed of 366 miles per hour. Either were so slow compared to the late-war P-51D at 447. Yes, but fast enough to chase every Japanese bomber type operating in the Pacific. Speed was never the variable the Black Widow was solving for. The variable it solved was the angle of attack. You don't need to be fast when the target never knows you're there. What made the P-61 deadly wasn't any single feature. It was the integration of radar, crew, geometry, and firepower into a system where each element supported the others. The SCR-720 found the target at 5 miles. The radar operator coached the pilot into position. The pilot flew a curve of pursuit that kept the Black Widow below the bomber's defensive envelope. The turret, rotated and depressed into the firing position, delivered 600 rounds into an undefended arc in 12 seconds. Every piece of that chain had to work in the right order, which is why the 4-minute setup procedure mattered so much. Crews who rushed it missed the geometry. Crews who drilled it killed. This wasn't accidental engineering. Northrop's Jack Northrop and his design team had studied the night interception problem from the ground up in 1940 and concluded that the British doctrine fast single-pass attacks was a solution built for conditions that wouldn't persist as bomber crews learned to evade. The solution to evasion wasn't more speed. It was an approach angle that made evasion irrelevant. The P-61 went on to score over 100 confirmed aerial victories before the war's end. The 548th and 549th Night Fighter Squadrons alone accounted for dozens of Japanese aircraft across the Pacific in the final year of the war. When the war ended in August 1945, every major theater of American night operations had standardized on the Black Widow over every alternative, not because of orders, but because the crews who flew it had discovered what the critics hadn't. That the trick hiding inside the largest, heaviest night fighter in American history was also the simplest one. Get underneath, stay invisible, let the turret do the rest. The Betty bomber over the Philippine Sea in October 1944 never saw it coming. Neither did anyone who looked at the P-61 on paper and thought they understood what it was.